I wanted to uh, tell this story. This is a story that I've heard years ago, maybe 18 years ago, from one of my teachers when I was in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. And it's a story about a Lama, which is a Lama is a Tibetan for teacher. It's almost like guru. And this is a story about a Lama and his people, his the cook that he had, and the people that he traveled with. And Lama means high father or even high mother. In other words, it's a higher person, and it could be a name for a title like the Dalai Lama, something like that. But typically, a Lama is like a guru or a teacher. And this guru traveled about teaching. People like the Buddha, people would ask him, to come to their village and teach, and they would put him up, feed him, and give him some money, that kind of thing. And he had about a dozen people that were with him, that were following him all of the time. People just loved being around the Lama. They loved his teachings. They loved the person. And it was just one of those things where he always had people around him. And he had a cook, because when you travel like that, you have to feed these people. These people have to eat, and they don't usually travel in such a way where they can carry their own food and that type of thing. So the cook would have a little wagon, and he would usually have an oxen or a yak. It would be a tame yak, because these things are huge, big horns and stuff. But they would use a yak to pull the wagon, and it was very slow going, because they were going through, down through paths and stuff, and sometimes not even a path, and most certainly very seldom was there a road. So it was really bumpy and everything. And this particular cook, the way he organized his wagon, he had his pots and pans just kind of hung on boards along the wagon. And they were always clanging, always making noise constantly, except for when the wagon stopped. And it was just enough to, irritate a person. Now they're traveling hours and hours, just banging, clanging, not musical sounds at all, just obnoxious sounds. And then when they would stop, this cook that the Lama had was loud and he was obnoxious. He was always kind of growling, and moaning and groaning. When he wasn't moaning and groaning and growling, he was talking, and sometimes talking to himself, sometimes trying to talk to the other people, and sometimes just kind of yelling because he wasn't seemingly very happy, always making noise. And the people that were traveling with the Lama, they had enough, and they got together and they said, we have to talk to the Lama about this teacher. He's very obnoxious. He's very rude. Here we are trying to meditate all of the time. We're trying to be mindful. We try to meditate. We can't meditate because of all these noises that he's making. And we have to find a way to get rid of this guy. So the people that were traveling with the Lama came together as a group and asked the Lama a question. And they said, we, as your followers, don't understand why you have this cook around. Oh, he hasn't meditated a day in his life. Seemingly, he hasn't meditated. He's loud, he's obnoxious, he's rude, he's very noisy. The food isn't even that good. Why don't you send him on his way, and we can do the cooking, or we'll find somebody else to do the cooking. We can buy a wagon and do our own cooking. There must be a way, to get rid of this person. And the Lama, he didn't say anything for a while, and everybody remained silent. And then he said a few words, and this I'm going to read. He said, "We can meditate for years and years in quiet solitude with nothing to contend with except our inner dialogue of our own minds. We can go on and live life this way for years and years and actually not learn as much as if we can in an instant when we realize the importance of particular lessons that we can receive. When we have something to work with, we receive important lessons. When we wish for things to be a certain way, when we want our world to be silent and for our wishes to be heard, when certain people, things, places, and other actual things of life irritate us and cause distractions, these are valuable lessons. And the lessons that we can learn when we watch our minds as we observe and look at our reactions to these distractions in life. Without realizing it, the noisy cook is our teacher. He is serving you lessons in the same way that he has been serving meals by his rude, unconscious loudness. Perhaps he is more realized than all of us. Perhaps he is the greatest teacher of all. When we have nothing to work with, we will learn very, very little. When we have something to work with, we are learning and truly living life by reason. With nothing to work with, there is little to learn. At some point, when we have learned enough lessons to understand, we will realize that even though nothing on the outside has changed, we will no longer see distractions and nuisances as distractions. When that day comes, my friends, it is the day of personal awakening or enlightenment. So that's the end of the story of the Lama and the cook. Hopefully the people that were with the Lama, that traveled with the Lama, realized that they could learn a lot from wishing things to be a particular way and not having them. When we encounter people in our lives or situations in our lives that seem like distractions, they seem like they shouldn't be there, maybe we're trying to meditate and there's a noise that we don't like. Sometimes I'll be sitting here meditating and all of a sudden the neighbor's lawn keeper will all of a sudden decide to blow the sidewalk, and you can hear that going. And as long as we're always looking for perfection, we can really be struggling with the idea of wanting things to be a particular way for us to be satisfied, for us to be happy. But more importantly, is to look at these things as lessons in such a way that how are we reacting, to these things? How are we reacting to these noises or these obnoxious people or these people that we think are obnoxious anyway, And whenever this happens, when I'm wishing that it was more quiet, when I'm with a group of people and some of them are just very, very loud, all that I have to say to myself is the Lama's cook, and then I can remember the story. Stories are great that way. We don't have to go through the entire story to understand it. All we have to do is understand the question that the story might bring up and the answer or the moral of the story. And so when I'm in that situation and I think, the Lama's cook, I can in an instant go through that entire story of that obnoxious cook and why the Lama wanted him in his life, because he needed somebody to work with. He felt that his students, or the people that were following him, he felt that they needed something to work with as well. So he is pointing that out to him. And with that in mind, I thought we could kind of use that as our basis for meditation, perhaps, and see where that takes us. First of all, I see everybody's muted. Any questions about the Lama's cook before we start to meditate? You can ask later on.
Hi, Shane. I have a question.
Sure.
So the moral of the story is like you need to learn like how not to behave, or?
No, the moral of the story is to accept whatever is happening. So at some point, when we become awake or fully enlightened, nothing out there in the world will change. It's only us inside that changes. Mm-hmm. And imagine that if you were fully enlightened right now, or even a little bit awake, or just very happy with it, with the situation now, the things outside wouldn't bother you as much as they could. So it's being content and letting go of our preferences for things to be a certain way in order for us to be happy.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's a good question to bring up before we meditate like this, because we could, I mean, if we sit for a half an hour with a question like that, it could disturb our meditation. So it's very good to.
Yes, it would bother me.
Yeah. Okay, so please make yourself comfortable. And of course, I want to thank everybody for being here. I usually do that in the beginning, but I wanted to do it again here now, and thank everybody for being here this Wednesday night. This will be kind of a basic meditation, and I'll see if I can maybe throw a couple of the Lama's lessons in this, dealing with the cook. Gently close your eyes. You might begin with a little deeper than normal inhalation of the breath. Bring some energy into the body, but more importantly, notice where you feel that breath. Because where you feel that breath is an excellent place to bring your focus. Try that right now. You might feel the air coming in and out, or you might feel some very subtle movement of the body or movement of air. It's very subtle, and it's something that is always happening, always there. But unless we take a moment to be very conscious of the breath, it just goes on and on throughout our days without us paying much attention to it. It's a beautiful thing. And it's even can become more of a beautiful thing when we learn to use it in such a way that it brings about these moments of presence and stillness in our lives. oftentimes we look at our meditation practice and we typically feel that a good meditation is a quiet one, very few disturbances, a nice temperature in the room, no distractions, no annoying people or animals or insects, just very easy meditation. And these are very welcoming and very important for us to have. But just like in life, when we look at our periods of growth, our periods of learning, in many ways our periods of maturity, both intellectual and spiritual. And these times is when things were the most difficult for us. And if it's seen or felt or imagined in any way that these difficult times serve a purpose, even if they're short or long periods or something that lingers or something that is just very brief, it seems as if all of these could be short lessons for us, things for us to notice. What if there was, dare I say, a higher power of some type that dished out these particular lessons for us, and each one of these lessons had to be learned and dealt with in this lifetime in order for us to grow, in order for us to be more complete at the end of this journey. And if we knew that was a fact, if we knew that was the situation, we would welcome any kind of distractions and any kind of suffering, any kind of difficulties. And many people, myself included, really do feel as if every moment in life serves a purpose. And it could very well be that the most difficult periods, the most difficult times in our lives serve the greatest purpose. When we want our world to change because we are not happy with it, we owe ourselves a great service by looking at why we want things to be different. Is it for ourselves? Is it for our egos? Or is it for the comfort of others? This makes a big difference. If we want our world to be a certain way just so that we're more comfortable, are we trying to maybe bypass a lesson that we are meant to be learning? So the point is to be able to notice and really follow these things and notice our reaction to everything that happens in life. And this is part of our experience of being mindful, to be aware of our reactions and our desires, our wants, our preferences. What would it be like to be content with the way everything is in the world, just the way it is? No judgment, no wanting things to be different in any way. Total acceptance and 100% gratitude for the way things are. And so let's sit in silence for a while and just imagine at this moment, everything about this day, everything about us and every situation within our life at this time is exactly the way that we would like it to be. We don't want it to be anything different. See how that feels. We don't want anything to be different than what it currently is. Complete acceptance, complete gratitude. So keep focusing on the breath. Use the breath as a tool to bring and keep you in that presence, in that moment of silence, that inner silence that is all accepting, very gracious. Just notice how it would feel within the body, within the mind, if everything was exactly as it should be. Nothing need to be changed. Nothing has to be any other way than what it is right now. As if everything is in a perfect alignment. Everything has a purpose. All situations are happening for a reason. And we're just a part of the flow. With complete acceptance. So for the next few moments sitting in meditation, notice how this feels within the body. Notice where you might feel it in the body. And think in terms of the Lama and the cook, how he felt as if any kind of disturbance was a teaching, was a way of having something to work with, having something out in the world to notice that we are practicing, that we are serving a purpose, that we can find that inner stillness within, that nothing out in the world has to change in order for us to be completely happy within. Stay with the breath. Sit in silence for 5 more minutes. Just take a moment and notice how you feel. Notice what kind of emotions are going through the mind and the body. Notice how the body feels. Just take a moment and be very grateful for this time that you're able to spend meditating. bring your hands together in front of you, in front of the heart chakra, if you like. May each one of us and all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. May no harm come to us. May no difficulties come to us. May we all meet with spiritual and worldly success. May we have the patience, the courage, and the understanding to meet and overcome any problems or any difficulties that we might face in life. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, that was just kind of a basic meditation, and I was, kind of reiterating and talking a little bit about how the Lama's guru, or Lama's cook, that story, and how it can kind of be injected in our meditation, which means that it can be kind of looked at in our entire lives, how that can be a part of our system. And again, the like I was saying to Shanaz, it's really a look at us being able to say that nothing out there has to change, that everything is, seeing everything that as a purpose, and with a great amount of acceptance and gratefulness, being grateful for what we have. Sometimes people can just be extremely annoyed by one single fly, that's flying around, and the other person not even notice, just thinking, well, there's a fly, whatever, Taking these small moments and, really watching our reactions, watching how we, maybe how we evolved, maybe how we used to take care of a situation, and now we don't do it that way. Hopefully, in such a, taking care of it in a more calm manner. But, looking at these small things and seeing them, that that we're okay with it, that it's not that big of a deal. I was in Thailand talking to a person, and Thailand's a noisy city. I mean, it's huge city, people everywhere.
Bangkok,
yeah. And millions and millions of people everywhere. And I was in this little apartment, and there was again, a dog. I'm not picking on dogs. I love dogs, but I was talking to this person again, and I said, why can't they just stop that? I was kind of annoyed. I was totally annoyed by it, but it was hot out, and I was, sweating, uncomfortable, and that dog wasn't helping my mood, And I'm just being completely honest here. And, I said, why can't they stop that dog from barking? And the person I was talking to had to stop for a minute and listen to find out what I was even talking about. And this was a Thai person. And I'm thinking, well, they're used to this noise, that's the deal. But it's more like they were okay with it. They were fine with the idea that this dog was barking over here. And I know Mark can relate to this, because we used to, at the temple where we used to meditate on Wednesday nights, that every time we sit to meditate, that dog would start barking in the house next door. Remember?
Yeah, I remember that dog.
Mm. And
that was when I first started meditating, and when I first started going there, it really, really annoyed me.
Yeah.
And then after 6 months or so, I just kind of started to tune it out, or use it as
a
way.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like you got the lesson. You
Yeah.
know, like perhaps that dog was there for a reason, like it was planted there, for us to have something to work with, you know. So that probably, without you realizing it, or maybe you do realize it, that probably made you a better meditator, having that dog barking.
Yeah, I just kind of realized that you really can't control what's going on around you. You just kind of,
Exactly.
that's kind of my approach, is to deal with noise and stuff like that and not let it annoy me.
Exactly. Yeah. And we can use that philosophy with virtually anything. You know, the world, for a lot of people, the world is not the way they want it right now. And there's nothing wrong with wanting things to be different, but it's how we want to look at it, how it tears us up, if it is indeed tearing us up inside, how it's not allowing us to feel complete. So in other words, we can want things to be different and want change to happen, as long as we know and we are aware that that's what we want to happen. That we, like as a spiritual being, I'm working towards, making my house quieter or something like that. So we can want and wish for these things, but we want to be very mindful as we do it, mindful that that's the situation, and know inside that things aren't going to always work out the way we want them to. If we strive, want things to be a certain way, and we have to realize that that might not happen, and just be happy and content with the way it is.